Well, we've been looking at California and the Intermountain states, some of them, Arizona, Colorado, and Nevada. These are states that have had go-go economies for most of the last 20 years. Because of that, they get very excited at the high ends of the cycles and tend to either spend a lot or give a lot of revenue back in the form of tax cuts. Each of these states did some combination of that, and when the good times went away, have found themselves in a world of pain. There are several different variants of the kind of train wrecks that have occurred. California, by and large, spent too much in the good times, and when the economy slowed down, has been left with far too little revenue. Arizona, on the other hand, cut taxes hugely in the good times, and that has been over about 20 years, and now has come up way short as the economy slowed down. All of this has been complicated in each place by various voter mandates for additional spending or limits on revenue raising. So that has complicated the situations they're in, exaggerated the pain they're in, but also made it harder to clean up the mess. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights, or TABOR in Colorado, is a very, very interesting case for budget watchers. This is, again, a voter deployed limit on spending that controls spending and ties it directly to growth or contraction of the economy. Interestingly, our research in the Southwest states shows that, in fact, TABOR has worked in a narrow sense of keeping spending and revenue raising in close linkage. There is a very small structural deficit in Colorado. It's a very different spectacle that we have in Arizona and California. It has, though, worked in another way, in that it has been continuously ratcheting down spending over the period in which it has been imposed. And so, while the budget is roughly balanced, education spending has fallen precipitously. Social health, social health, and other program spending has also been ratcheted down. So it's, to an extent, choose your poison. It has achieved a balance, relative balance of the state budget, but at a cost of ratcheting down programs. And I think there's growing restlessness and even concern among Colorado voters about its impact. Legislators have to dig out of some very serious holes, and I mean, a few basic recommendations would include balance, not embracing only spending cuts or only revenue raising to close these holes. These are such large challenges that balance, one of the great, mantras of budget discussion, has to be adhered to. They are going to need creativity. They're going to need to address structural changes as well. But in the longer term, there's going to be a need to broaden tax bases, add to the number of sources, and build in more flexibility into the revenue system. And I think that arrives at what is a crucial problem. Studying the budgetary difficulties and even dysfunctions in these states leads you to conclude that narrowness or rigidity in budget policy making leads to trouble. One of the serious problems has been rigid limitations on spending and or revenue raising, often imposed through citizen mandates, have proven a sure recipe for trouble in really all of these states, except for Nevada. An interesting sidelight here is the state of Utah, which does not have any of these problems, and much of it can be attributed to a very interesting way of handling the budget process that is saturated with information, a careful connection and through consensus building of spending and revenue discussions with a very elaborate process for connecting those two discussions. In many of these states, for various reasons, spending discussions are become divorced from revenue discussions, and you have various mandates intruding on flexibility. So states should try to stay away from those kind of solutions, and trying to build a process that includes full, rich use of data all along through the whole process.